The Central Drug Authority has weighed in on the matter, is calling for tighter laws to address drunk driving and the possession of drugs. They further say strengthened collaboration between the authorities, community organizations and government is needed to curb alcohol and related fatalities on the road. This, of course, is on the back of a Sekhukhune United soccer player who reportedly fled a scene of a deadly head-on collision and who is making his first court appearance in the Tembisa Magistrates Court tomorrow. We now speak to the authorities' deputy chairperson, Nomcebo Dlamini. Nomcebo, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. Obviously, the facts are yet to be determined, but the find of alcohol and suspected drugs in the footballer's vehicle once again highlights the ongoing concerns about drug and substance abuse.
Thank you very much, Vuyo, and good afternoon to you and to the viewers, and condolences from the Central Drug Authority to the family. I cannot imagine what the parents are going through right now, having woken up to take their child to school, and now this is what they're facing. But the issue of alcohol in the country is really, has reached actually just very, very urgent proportions where we all need to take cognizance of the fact that we do have a problem as a country. The seriousness of this, of what has happened now, the destruction of the lives, because we're talking about the young person that has died, the child that has died. And then we're also talking about this young person, this footballer, who's now facing serious charges, and obviously his life is also quite impacted by this. And just to say, Vuyo, that today, as a Central Drug Authority, we were finalizing our strategy for the next year. And one of the major things that even the Minister of Social Development mentioned is that we really need to come up with serious interventions when it comes to alcohol use and misuse in this country. And our last and the latest annual report of the Central Drug Authority indicated that close to about 33% of adults in the country are misusing alcohol. And this is quite alarming, and I'm talking about binge drinking in the main. And these are the things that we need to talk about. And I'm glad that you have spoken to SAPS and especially the NPA, who are also members of the Central Drug Authority, and they are working together. But then this means if the departments of government and government is doing something, what are we as communities, what are we as society doing? And we need to have serious discussions around this matter.
Talk us through very briefly that strategy, what but also what it seeks to do exactly.
The National Drug Master Plan, Vuyo, is basically the country's strategy for 5 years. We are reviewing the current one, which is closing at the end of 2024, even though it missed a year due to COVID-19. But in the review of the strategy, we are intending to look at demand reduction, how we deal with the issues of prevention, issues of treating people that are already perhaps addicted to some substances such as alcohol, as well as the law enforcement issue, because we cannot run away from that. We have laws in this country, like drinking and driving. We cannot continue to have this happening. And it being fashionable as well, because it seems like you see on social media, people even compete about who is able to get home drunk the most or whatever it is. And it's been made fashionable and fun and something that it doesn't matter. It's like the laws of the country that we have as regards to drinking alcohol and drinking and driving, they do not matter, which is why I still go back to, as society, we now need to come on board. We now need to take this thing seriously. How many of our children need to die before we take this thing seriously?
Exactly. And that, I would imagine, also include how to deal with law enforcement officers who, of course, neglect to do their jobs, and all they're interested in is the cold drink.
Of course. You know, as the Central Drug Authority, because as I say, we're in our strategy session, the one thing that we asked ourselves is if there was a match in Polokwane on Wednesday night and it finished around midnight and this young man was driving, and got to Tembisa in the morning. The question that we were asking ourselves is, what happened between Polokwane and here? You know, it's a big question, because then it speaks to, perhaps in terms of what's happening on the road, the law enforcement, we need to look at that, because the cold drink is something that is very real. And also still, that talks to us as community, that talks to us as South Africans to say, do we want to continue to allow certain things to just be pervading the fabric of our society, like this issue of cold drink, that this issue of bribes, which is corruption, in fact? Are we wanting to allow it to continue, or wanting to put a stop to it? Perhaps, Vuyo, there is a need. We have dialogues for all sorts of things in this country, but perhaps there is a need to have a dialogue about this, to say, what do you want to continue on this trajectory that we seem to be on, which is downward? And just looking at the binge drinking of our young people, you know, the last report of the Central Drug Authority is quite shocking, because it actually indicates that young people as young as 13, by the time they get to 13, they've taken their first drink at school. High schoolers are indicating that almost 50% of them have had a drink at school before they even finish and get into tertiary. What is that saying? This is an emergency, Vuyo. We really need to take this seriously.
A lot has been said about the delays in piloting the Liquor Amendment Bill, which was first introduced in 2016, which seeks to, among other things, raise the legal drinking age from 18 to 21 and imposing a 100-meter radius restriction on alcohol sales around educational and religious institutions, but also banning alcohol sales and advertising on social media and the like. But a question that some people have asked is whether those kinds of measures do actually have a very, or will have a very real impact.
They definitely will, because in countries where they're advertising, especially the advertising for you, I think that one is the biggest, because you know how impressionable young people are. I'm sure you can remember yourself when you were that age, when you were a teen. You're quite impressionable. So anything that you see on TV, we've even glamorized. You know, it's like success. Success comes with having that champagne in your hand. Success comes with how many of those strong alcoholic drinks can you have on the table. So we've glamorized it, and then this is advertised. It's in on social media. It's in even. I'm sure you've noticed how after during the soccer matches in our country, like every 5 minutes, there's an advert that comes through for as long as there's a break. And that advert is about alcohol use. And we definitely know, and it has been proven, that the advertising of alcohol is a major, major impediment to the reduction of alcohol use, especially among young people who are quite impressionable. So I would say to that, we are definitely, we need to have the Liquor Amendment Bill tabled. We have had discussions with the DTIC, because that's the department that is the custodian of that bill. And they are working on it quite hard. And now I believe that very, very soon we are going to start seeing some kind of movement in that area. And we are quite hopeful as the Central Drug Authority, because we have engaged extensively on this, that there will be a movement on that alcohol Liquor Amendment Bill to have it tabled.
Substance abuse in our country, a big problem, but as you heard from Mrs. Nomcebo, the measures are being put in place to try and deal with the problems, but the process is, of course, slow and painful at the moment.